No, morena whānau, no mai haere mai ki te MBITV.
Ko Hazel tuku ingoa.
Ko Isabel toku ingoa. Today is Rapa Te Tekau Mā Rua Hara Tua. Here are your notices for today. Mrs. Milligan, NZ Music Month. Did you get yesterday's answer right?
Mrs. Milligan's NZ Month. Today's questions.
Mr. Stephen, Enviro Group. There is an Enviro Group meeting at morning tea today in room 12. See you there.
Mrs. Strand, collecting blankets for SPCA. Oil Pike Challenge. 2 students are supporting the SPCA and are collecting old towels, flat sheets, duvet covers, and blankets, especially polar bear fleece blankets. To donate to this SPCA for animals in need, please ring to room 43 before Friday, 29th of May. Thank you for your help.
Mrs. Strand, Squash Sewing Day. There is a Squash Sewing Day Wednesday, 26th of May. If you're an experienced player, go and see Mrs. Strand in room 43 at morning tea.
Mr. Stevens, Enviro Group. Last year, MBI Enviro Group team applied to have an Auckland King Tide market installed at the Morris Bay Wharf. The application was approved, and last term, room 12, Enviro class helped to install the marker.
Here is more information about the Auckland King Tide initiative. Keep your eyes out for MBI students. Next time you're at Morris Bay Wharf, keep your eyes out for the tide gauge.
We aren't going to win, nature's going to win. Let's work with nature and make an environment that works for everybody. That's where we're at, really.
Kia ora, my name's Ben Sheeran. I'm from the Auckland King Tides Initiative. We're here today at Little Shoal Bay. We had a king tide at 10:15 a.m. We've been down here to check our tide gauge and documenting this king tide with some of our citizen scientists. So a king tide is a naturally occurring phenomenon. It's one of the largest tides of the year that occurs due to the confluence of the sun, the moon and the earth. It typically occurs around half a dozen times in a year, and it usually runs for a number of days during that tidal phase. It's important to know that whilst the king tide is a naturally occurring process, it's a snapshot into the future of the potential impacts of climate change in terms of sea level rise. We started the Auckland King Tides initiative in 2014. It's actually part of a global initiative that started in California. We recognise that we have a wide variety of coastline in Auckland, and we decided that with the issue of climate change and sea level rise, that Auckland was a perfect place to document the king tides that occur. The Auckland King Tides Initiative is a community of citizen scientists to document this tide and to share those images and tide measures with us so that we can assist decision makers to plan and adapt for sea level rise in the future.
I was a volunteer for 30 years up the beach, but now I'm been upgraded to a citizen scientist to take photos of the king tides.
It'll be really interesting to see the changes, and in my time I may see a little bit of the change, but later on the next generation will come along and go, wow, that's changed, and they can have the comparison of photos and documentation, and that's what I love. I love to see how it's changed and why it's changed and what's happening.
There's a great challenge that we have both in New Zealand and globally in terms of climate change. What you'll see from our tide gauges is that we've got a couple of scenarios for where we'll end up in the future. We may end up in 100 years' time with a zero carbon world, or we may end up in a position where we keep doing as we do and we have unconstrained global emissions. In either case, we're going to see sea level rise that goes from a magnitude of about 50 centimetres all the way up to nearly 1.5 metres. So we have a real challenge in terms of both adapting to the sea level rise that's already locked in, but also trying to mitigate the effects of climate change so that the sea levels that we get in the future aren't as extreme as we may fear they end up being.
Post the storm of 2008, when the waves were 8 to 9 metres, up to 30 feet, the hard surfaces of the car park got washed away, the stairs to the beach got washed away, and the houses were under threat. So the idea is all the hard structures and man-made structures are going to retreat further and further back.
That sort of managed retreat is something that we're going to have to do many times over in the future, in our lifetime.
That's
with
right.
Sea level rise. We've got three options. One is to do nothing and to let nature take its course. The second is to basically hold the line and to put in infrastructure that protects the coastline that we have today, through to a third option, which is called managed realignment, where we realign the coast and often let nature do its work and reimagine what that coastline can look like in terms of maybe installing dunes or more natural systems. I think also for a lot of people, climate change is a huge problem, and it feels like a problem that's far too big to solve alone. And you know, we know that a lot of our students and young people have real climate anxiety about what's going to happen in the future. What we've found and what research and studies tell us is that one way to reduce that anxiety is to take control of the problem by taking small actions, and to be able to feel like you've got some ownership of the problem and making small steps to improve the situation. So sometimes taking photos, measuring, having an input into these decisions that we need to make is one way that people can feel more engaged and empowered as we face this challenge together. So my hope for anyone watching this video is to think about their own local coastline and how they can protect it, and how they can help to monitor how sea level rise is going to impact on their local environment in the future, and think about some of those decisions they can make to make it a better world for our future generations.
That's all, folks.
Folks, have a Whale Wednesday. See you same time, same place tomorrow.